The Pentagon, was posting today at Democratic Underground. This it came out of Alternet. The Pentagon has wasted so much money, it stopped investigating who wasted $800 million. They lost $800 million and they just said, screw it. In 2011, the final report of the commission the constitutionally mandated Commission on Wartime Contracting estimated that somewhere between $31 and $60 billion in taxpayer monies. A billion is $1 million 1,000 times. $60 billion has been lost to fraud and waste just in American, quote, reconstruction efforts in Iraq and Afghanistan. The $75 million police academy in Iraq where feces rained through the ceiling. The American construction company promised to repair it for another $75 million. There's still feces and urine dripping through the ceiling. $40 million to an American corporation for a prison that was never finished. $3.4 million went to an Iraqi construction company to build a teaching center in Afghanistan. They took the money and just walked off. $300 million was given to build roads in Iraq. A quarter of it was siphoned off by the company, and the rest was used to create 100 miles of road. That's 10 times what roads cost anywhere else in the world. $300 million. $2.5 million for a chicken processing plant in Iraq that has never processed a chicken. $50 million for a military headquarters in Afghanistan that the U.S. didn't want and tried to stop from being built, but Congress forced it through because that $50 million was going to go to some corporation who was giving money to some politician. And that's $50 million. I guarantee that politician probably got, a $30,000 or $40,000 campaign contribution, maybe a $50,000 or $100,000 campaign contribution. The company made $50 million. The most profitable business in America right now is buying politicians. And that's why you can't get a seat in a nice restaurant in this town without a reservation 2 weeks in advance. And when you do get that seat, plan on dinner costing you $200. Because the most profitable business in the country right now is buying politicians. You spend 5 figures, right? $20,000, $50,000, $80,000, less than $100,000. For most members, that's a big money for a member of the House of Representatives, and in the neighborhood of $1 million is big money for a member of the Senate. And you write the legislation that you want, say, okay, in that little Title 3, Article 1, Section 4, whatever it is, I want this change to that, right? Please rewrite the bill this way. And they do that for you, and you make $50 million. And that's what happened with the military appropriation. $50 million went to a company, an American company, to build a military headquarters in Afghanistan that we didn't want. Congress forced it through. 65,000 small arms. In other words, rifles, right? And guns. 500,000 that we shipped to Afghanistan, we have lost. We just lost them. Sorry, don't know where they went. 500,000 weapons. Most recently, there was a task force for business stability operations, an $800 million Pentagon project to help jumpstart the Afghan economy. Keep in mind, before we invaded, the GDP of Afghanistan was $2 billion a year. It was the second poorest country in the world. $2 billion a year. So we're giving them $800 million. That's, more than a third of $2 billion. We're giving them $800 million to jumpstart their economy. It was shut down over 6 months ago, and yet in response to requests from the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction, the Pentagon swears there are, quote, no Defense Department personnel who can answer questions about what the task force did with its money. As ProPublica's Megan McCloskey writes, quote, the Pentagon's claims are particularly surprising since Joseph Catalino, the former acting director of the task force, who was with the program for 2 years, is still employed by the Pentagon as senior advisor for special operations and combating terrorism. They took $800 million and they can't tell us where it went. $43 million for a compressed natural gas station, 10 times the cost of an ordinary gas station in an area of Afghanistan where there's no natural gas and no cars that run on it. $15 million in fuel sold to U.S. soldiers, by U.S. soldiers to Afghans in the black market. $25 billion to create an Iraqi army that employed 50,000 ghost soldiers who only existed to have their salaries siphoned off by corrupt commanders?
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
I mean, you want to talk about waste, fraud, and abuse? Stop talking about Social Security and start talking about the Pentagon. To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.